Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with NECA's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Koba and Luca. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is one of my favourite movies of 2014, although the climax does descend into what is essentially a video game. But hey, that's most movies these days, isn't it? These are from the second series, which as we look at the packaging back also includes Caesar, which I already have a version of from series 1 along with Maurice. Really, I feel like the first series 1 is a more fitting representation of Caesar, so skipped on his series 2 version, which is the complete opposite of Koba, his series 1 figure embodying less of Koba's mania, which is what I want in a Koba action figure. So here they are out of packaging, much like Maurice from the first series. Then if you want a generic gorilla action figure, then Luca is it. He could easily be Buck, the gorilla character from the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, or King Kong, or Gorilla Grodd. Meanwhile, Koba is definitively him. I compare his relationship to Caesar as that of Magneto to Professor X, with Caesar embodying optimism and compassion towards the humans, whereas Koba's view is coloured by his mistreatment at the hands of humans. And the figure captures the results of that mistreatment really well. We see it in the nicely observed hunched posture here compared to Caesar standing straight up. Then Koba's hair loss achieved with the paint application. Close up it does look a bit sloppy in places, but held at arm's length and it's really quite effective. In spite of his patchy baldness, I wish they had continued the sculpt of the hair onto his feet as with Caesar. It would help diffuse the break for the ankle articulation and make it look more like Koba's feet and less like Koba wearing shoes on his feet. Now taking a closer look, and Koba's head sculpt is fantastic, bringing the term "Go Ape" to life, as Koba here literally looks like he's about to do just that. He's baring his canines and we get a rendering of his scarred face and blind eye, which is the result of his owner and a lit cigarette. Yep, in that way humans just plain suck sometimes, and it's hard not to have some sympathy towards Koba. It's that background that makes him a compelling character, and while the internet is sharpening its knife for the Fantastic Four reboot later this year, one thing that has me excited about that movie is that Doom will be played by Toby Kebbell, who did the motion capture for Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Moving on to Luca, he comes sporting a stoic head sculpt which is really quite lifelike. Looking into his eyes and you get a sense of a mind behind them, and you have to respect any company that can take plastic and give it that air of realism. Paint application gives some brownish dry brushing to the hair and a glossy finish to the skin on the face, which contrasts well with the matte of the hair. Luca comes with an interchangeable head, which if I said the first one was stoic, then this is the complete opposite of that. Full of rage and ready to run amok in San Francisco. And if I was already singing the praises of the sculpt and paint apps, then here I'm just going to repeat that song, because look at that mouth, packed with detail, from the roof of his mouth to the texture of the tongue. Actually, I'm going to back up as it's so lifelike, I'm beginning to smell his warm banana breath on me. Koba comes with interchangeable hands, from the more open palms of the set he comes packaged with to the more gripping pose of this second set. They interchange pretty easily, and just as I say that, there we go. These gripping hands are to hold his accessory, this machine gun. A monkey brandishing a machine gun, now how can you not resist that? As a side note, I do feel Dawn of the Planet of the Apes suffered from its PG-13 rating. As with the apes' assault on San Francisco, it seemed like more apes were being killed than humans, yet the apes won. I can only assume for rating's sake it's more okay to show the killing of CGI apes than it is actual humans. With these gripping hands, it's not possible to have him hold the gun with two hands. For him to do that, I've switched back his left hand for the more open-palmed one, with the gun more resting on the hand than gripping it. And with him posed like this, holding the gun, let's now turn our attention towards articulation. The heads of each rotate side to side. They're able to look down the tiniest bit, but Luca is able to look up much more than Koba. At the shoulders, they both have rotation and the arms move up this much. Both have rotation at the elbow and hinges with about the same degree of articulation. And at the wrists, the hands are on a ball joint. They each have a diaphragm joint which rotate and move slightly forward and back. At the hips is where Luca's articulation Articulation pulls ahead, having a greater range. As with the elbows, at the knees they have rotation and a hinge, and then the feet are like the hands in that they are also on a ball joint. And the slight differences in articulation mount up to a big difference when attempting a primate quadrupedal pose, with Koba not looking especially naturalistic, whereas Luca does, but then the chimps in the movies are mostly bipedal, so it's not that big of a criticism for me. And here they are with Caesar and Morris from the first series. Ultimately, Koba would tickle the fancy of any fan of the movie, then Luca might have some more appeal beyond the movie fandom, just as a generic gorilla figure. To see a comparison of the Caesar you see here with the Japanese import Caesar from the first movie, click the video on the right. As ever, I sure would appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.